to We're Not Wizards. We are the best. And also, we're not wizards. Enjoy the show. Bye.
I keep looking at myself and going, I recognise Mark, but I don't know who the granddad in the plaid shirt is next to him. I'm kind of like, I'm like if Rodney Smith had like a brother who was off the rails. You know, the one that kind of turned up always, you go like that, come round my house and let's play board games. And I'd always turn up kind of like slightly drunk or on something else. Yeah. You know, and I would sit there for like 10 minutes making Monopoly jokes and then just seeing, it's literally, I would be like the Jimmy McGill of the kind of the Better Call Saul, kind of that relationship. I would just be trying to just wind him up and then just, he'd always be saying to me, I'd be trying to start up my own YouTube channel, but he'd be telling me I'd never ever be a proper YouTuber. So then what would happen is I'd end up discovering the world of TikTok. And you know, that's how that would happen. So, have you got a drink? I saw you had a drink.
Yeah,
like some kind of craft beer, is it? No.
From Coke Zero.
Coke Zero. I thought, what happened? I thought you were into your craft beers. I thought you'd be like going, oh, this is what I call the ladies' legs. It's brewed in Thailand.
Smells like aromas of. No, I just got back from Nuremberg and had quite a lot of German and Belgian beer. We stopped in Belgium.
Are you recovering from that? Because that stuff kind of puts hairs on
your chest,
out a bit.
It?
Are you just getting because I'm jetting a bit? Yeah, we're going to do an intro, I think, because this is what normally happens. There, it's like, this is.
I thought we'd started.
I thought we kind of started as well. You know. Hello and welcome to another. You know, hello and welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. That could be it. Joining us today, we've got the top 10 of music that you can listen to in your air raid shelter.
Gather round.
When the Jerry Borscht come to visit, we'll be talking board games. Are they something that ever's going to take off and reach mainstream? As we crack open our favourite copy of Monopoly. Yeah. Hello, my name's Richard. Welcome to We're Not Wizards. I'll be your host for February. There's no reason I'm singing that whatsoever. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I'm joined tonight or today or tomorrow, just depending on when you're listening. I'm joined by a man who, it's been far too long since he's been on the show. He's almost like a repeat offender that luckily I caught him trying to steal a car the other day, so he's straight back in wizard jail, coming to join me, and we're going to have a conversation because he's not just into like stealing cars, he likes a bit of shoplifting, but he's definitely up for the good old con.
Hey.
And when he's not conning, he's cooking. So joining me, it's Mark Cooke with an E.
Hello.
From Airecon.
Mark Cooke with an E, not Mark.
Is it not? I thought it was E's on both of them.
E's on both of them.
Is that why that's why my emails haven't been getting to you, because it's been
no, that's something else. Something I've done.
Marky.cookie.
Marky.cookie.
Yeah,
when I used to one of my old jobs, that was my little. I used to have to do a lot of like training and standing up, and then you come up with just like repeat little jokes that because it's different people that you're training every time, so they don't know that.
Yeah,
you're not a spontaneous comedian, and so I used to use that joke all the time. Oh, my name's Mark Cooke. That's with an E, not on Mark, but I'm Cooke. And then, but all the other people in the room had to listen to that joke, like 5 or 6 times a year for 7 years. And I started getting mail addressed to Mark E. Cooke without him. they all kind of got together to be like, look, let's show him how tedious this joke is. And all my mail started coming to Marky Cooke.
I could show you tedious. I'm just surprised that Watch It Played's not got an E in the end.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised, okay, and this is just a quick aside, I'm just surprised it's not Watch It Plaid.
Watch It Plaid. It should be.
It should be, yeah.
But we are doing Pladder Day Saturday.
I don't want to know. Right, I've got a couple of questions anyway. First of all, thanks for listening. If you're listening for the first time, the reason that we do this is because, honestly, I kind of like speaking to people and I like the attention. And so doing this podcast, I get to speak to wonderful people and people like Mark. And also when I put the show out, I get to go look at me, witness my works, all ye mighty in despair. And the second reason is because Airecon is literally 4 weeks away. So it's squeaky.
Tomorrow. It's over. It's still over 4 weeks away.
It's on the 9th to the 12th of March. It's the you're kind of wrecking the whole production thing because by the time I release this,
oh yeah,
it's not live. I'm not like you on your little Facebook group when you used to hang about and do kind of like your quizzes and that and be popular and have lots of people join in, which you stopped doing, which I was sad about. And I did remarkably badly in that, didn't I? I think I was bottom of the league.
Yeah, you might have been.
I might have actually been absolutely dreadful. You've probably got it written down somewhere.
I've got it. I've got the board somewhere still.
Have you?
In here.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
I kind of kept it.
I kept
it because I thought it was a nice thing to have.
Oh, it's good to know you just can't be bothered tidying up.
Well,
it's like, when are you going to tidy up that board, Mark? Oh, it's just nostalgia. But it's 6 foot high, so what do you care about?
And who are these people?
I don't know. So anyway, Airecon's coming up 9th to 12th of March in Harrogate, land of the gates, land of the Harrows. Couple of questions for you, right? First question is, since your convention is all about board games, why is the background of the Airecon banner sweets?
I don't really know. So we started many years ago. I think at one point I had an idea, instead of numbering them, like most conventions go with numbering or years or whatever, Airecon 1, Airecon 2, Airecon 3. And I said to Ben, I remember we used to work at the same place, and we just happened to be kind of passing in a stairwell, and I went, Ben, should we just go with like the Pokemon thing instead, and we'll make it like Airecon Blue and Airecon Yellow and Airecon Gold and all that.
Yeah.
So we went through the Catan resources, I think, were the first 4. So we had like wood, and sheep, and wool. So if you look back,
Airecon sheep would have attracted a whole different type of audience. Shepherds, probably. Yeah.
Where's the open shepherding?
I'm here for the dog. I'm here for the dog trials. And the wool.
We've got Watch It Rounded.
And the extra wide wellies. And the Velcro suits. And you've brought none of that. Just got bloody board games everywhere.
So that's all it was. And now I just sort of think of a random thing. And I was kind of hoping that we could get someone to come and do Pick and Mix this year, but we couldn't in the end. So it just ends up being a bit random, and it's sweets. I'm trying to remember what it was last year.
You're trying to remember. He's staring. For the people who obviously it's not a visual podcast. Mark is staring at the ceiling, in the kind of hope that the rays of memory. Are you getting there? Are you getting to that point now where you walk into another room and you go, I have no idea why I'm here. Well, I don't even know if this is my house. Just kind of like, whoa, I've just forgotten. What's my name again?
I do usually know that I'm in there for a reason. Like, I usually do go somewhere with purpose.
Yes.
And, I did it earlier. I kind of went out the room with purpose of like, something.
Yes.
And then just came back with something else that I didn't go for.
I didn't have to go
back. Why have you got that?
Get myself a drink. You know what I mean? Come back up with the ironing board.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I doing?
Yeah, so I started using, I use Notes a lot, like Google Notes.
I've started using keep.google.com is my friend. Just, you know what I mean? Just like, I get to the point, I think it's just going to be like, breathe in, breathe out. But I think that's an automatic thing, so it's fine. We have to talk a little bit about the large kind of elephant in the room, which is the pandemic kind of thing. Because there's somebody that's running a convention that obviously, because I tell you what, I remember, because it was the first, because I'd gone on 2019. I was really, really excited. In 2020, I think quite literally the week before Airecon, that was when the first kind of shutdown began, and Airecon still kind of went ahead. And it
was the week after Airecon. So, because how it was happening is we were like setting up on the Thursday with the radio on, listening to the news, because we were all expecting an announcement that said events had been banned.
Yeah.
And I remember we were kind of like one or the other. Like at the time, it was better for us to go ahead, and no one turn up than it was for us to cancel it ourselves, because literally no support or anything for events cancelled. But if they said, "Oh, it's cancelled," we would have been able to kind of get some support for that. So it was a really weird situation. But we went ahead and had a lovely time, and it was kind of a little bit weird, but also I think it was fun. I think people had because it was the Monday, so we closed on the Sunday, so 8 days later was full lockdown.
Yeah. I just remember it. I think my work turned round on the 28th of February and just went, right, nobody come back. Because we were all old. And I think there's one of my work colleagues had got pretty elderly relatives. So we're like, no, I'm not taking the risk here. We're all just going home. And I remember, I was like, I remember actually going, I'm not sure if I'm coming. Oh, and then I was like, no, better not. And it was kind of like a strange thing. Because flipping on to now, as somebody who's got a sensible head on your shoulders, and I know you've got a sensible head on your shoulders, and with that, obviously, government departments seeming to just have forgotten that COVID kind of even exists, even though it obviously still does exist.
Yeah.
And we've seen kind of other conventions like Gen Con and stuff like that going, you don't need to test, you don't need to have a mask, you don't need to what's your kind of are you kind of like, I don't know what to do? Do we follow this? Does it depend? Do you base your decision based on what you think is best, or have you based your decision based on what maybe the UK Games Expo is doing? Have you had discussions with Richard about it and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, we know the Games Expo team pretty well. We chat to them. They obviously ran last year with no restrictions, which is kind of quite interesting how quickly they kind of got lifted last year, because we ran last year, but it was all, you have to have a COVID pass, and you think now that whole system's just been turned off, so we couldn't even do that even if we wanted to. Less than a year later. So one of the Airecon directors, Rick, he works for the company that kind of didn't build it, but they kind of maintain that system, and they're just like, just turn it off.
Wow.
So it's just all of a sudden. So it's interesting. We've always tried to go with things like we would look at Public Health England, and we would speak to the convention centre. Obviously, has their own guidelines in place, so we would follow them. And we had tended to err on the side of caution with it. So if they were like, "Oh, you could do this," we were like, "Oh, well, we will do that then." If it's not mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
So we were going with, last year it was wear your masks and have your COVID pass and things like that. We had a few people that weren't very happy about that, but we're never going to please everyone.
But this year it's like the infrastructure isn't there. So even if you said, look, we need to run as safe a convention as possible, it's like there's no backup there anyway. You'd be back to like getting everybody to fill in some kind of Excel spreadsheet and stuff like that just to confirm it, which seems...
Yeah. Well, it's even things like tests you have to pay for now
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it's really quite tricky with how we approach that kind of thing. So we're just having to just go for it this year, I think, and just be like, all right, well, there's much bigger and much more densely populated things that you do in day-to-day life.
Yeah,
like
I know.
going to the supermarket.
I know. Just exactly. Exactly. It's amazing how everybody's going to like switch back. And if you say we're back to normal now, but apparently, if you went to Davos, it was daily testing and kind of proper air conditioning and everything like that. So I don't know. Guess what? Guess you need a couple of millionaires. Airecon. And then it would be
that'd be nice.
A completely different thing.
I just came back from Germany, from the Nuremberg toy fair.
Yeah.
And I was over there back in October for Essen.
Yeah.
And then I went back. I was back in Belgium, just to Bruges, in November. And again, it's amazing how quickly it all changed, because Essen was still, you had to have a COVID pass.
Yeah.
This is October last year. COVID pass, masks in the venue, masks as you're going on the any public transport, and it's just gone. They're like, we were there, so it's only, what's that, 4 months?
Yeah,
4 months later?
Yeah, not even that.
And people are just not bothered. And I kind of thought it'd be a bit more gradual, the kind of the return to normal. But, there was air quotes there for people that aren't.
Yeah, there is definitely huge air quotes.
Back to normal. But it just seems to have been like everyone's gone, yeah, no, fine.
I know. Let's just kind of
forget it happened and move on.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's so 2020.
Yeah, that was weird.
What are you talking about? Remember 2020 and stuff like that. Are you back in the zone? Are you back to be excited and stuff like that? Because are you still kind of doing stuff for yourself? Are you still doing the consultancy and stuff? No. Yeah.
So I'm still doing some of my own stuff. So mainly running a publisher as well, and then doing some work for a manufacturer. But yeah, it's been all sort of Airecon for the last. It's kind of as you come out of Christmas.
Yeah.
So there's always a funny thing that every year I tell myself I'm not going to let it happen. Where it gets to like December, and I'm like, I've still got 3 months. That's like quarter of a year. But then so much of December is wiped out with. It's also my birthday in December, so it's like birthday, Christmas, New Year. You're just like, and then you come out the other side of it, still thinking you're going to have 3 months, but I was like, oh no, it's only 2 months now. And running around trying to, because all of a sudden there's the print deadlines coming up, and I do all the graphic design and stuff. So it's all of a sudden just running around and chasing people.
But it'll be finishing all the booking, I guess, for the chairs and the tables and the caterers and everything like that. And you can't go to folk in November and say, right, I'm definitely going to do this. I guess they're going to be like, no, you got to give us only 2 months, 6 weeks notice is how we normally work. You know how we work. And it's like, no, but I just want to get it organised. Can I not just get it? No, no.
Just want to book now.
If you're not panicking, we can't overcharge you. That's kind of how it works. So what's you're saying you're working for the publishing, so what are you doing on the publishing side, and who is that? Is that Bright Eye, or is that
Bright Eye Games? So that is myself and Martin Cubberley, who some people might know. He helps run the board game change that Facebook group. He was working for Long Pack. He now works for Watts, so another manufacturer.
Yes. It's just a new job change as well, I think, for Martin. I think has it not been too long?
For Martin, very recent. Yeah, only a couple of weeks he started with Watts, and then he was at Nuremberg with Watts. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So did you get to hang around together while you were over there in Nuremberg?
Yeah. No, we had a couple of nights out.
Oh, that's cool. Well, that's kind of good. How's things going at Bright?
They do this. Yeah, really well. So it took a little while to kind of get going, and we had a bit of a change. Like there was 3 of us from PSC when I was there running it, and kind of realised we were trying to bridge too many gaps, and do too many different things. So we decided actually it was all very amicable, but we decided it's better if PSC stays as PSC, and two of them stayed with that, and then I went with Bright Eye and then brought Martin in at that point. So we've just been sort of trying to consolidate and get like, well, where are we at? What have we signed? What do we need to do? So we obviously, last year was pretty much all about Core Quest and the retail release of that, and then
never heard of it.
No, it's some guy in Huddersfield thought we'd have a go at a game. Yeah, I'm just helping him out, really.
I've heard about that.
No, and then so we've got a couple of new releases coming out this year. We've got Battle Dental, which should be set in the Core Quest world, but it's a bit more grown up. It's like a 2-player abstract game.
Oh, cool!
Where it's the players play the Gum Goblin and the Tooth Troll, and this is the game that they play in the depths of the Hudders dungeon whilst they're waiting for brave adventurers to come in.
All right, okay.
And it's played on a board that looks like a human jaw and all the bits are pieces, and they're kind of moving around trying to get the teeth out. It's got a really cool movement thing.
That's gone dark.
It's fun. It's not an actual human jaw.
Got a bit dark. It kind of it's moved from, as Deadpool once said, you've gone from the Marvel universe to this kind of dark universe. You sure you're not part of the DC universe? Because we've kind of gone from drawings done by kids that then Gary King has worked on to here's a human jaw with bits of teeth sticking out that you can play on. It's kind of you've gone a bit Peacemaker with that kind of thing.
But it's more for the grown-ups. But yeah, that should be fun. And then we are about to send, hopefully next week, to the printers a storytelling game. And so this is one that's got an interesting history. Originally it got signed to Hasbro many years ago.
Right.
And Hasbro were trying to do their own sort of crowdfunding platform, and they were doing this competition.
Yeah.
Where people would put their games on this crowdfunding platform, and whoever won, Hasbro would publish that game. So this game won, but then Hasbro were like, we didn't really like that department, so just shut down that crowdfunding thing and return the rights to the owner. And so then I signed it when I was with Fog of Love, because it was kind of fit with that. And then that, moved on from there, and then that closed down, so the rest went back to the designer again, and then with Bright Eye we were like, look, let's do this, let's get it published, and so now it's almost ready. It's quite interesting, so it'll have art by Kwanchai Moria, the graphic design and the game design is done by Bridget and a couple of other people. Bridget is a graphic designer in board games, and she's done things like War Chest and Santa Monica, a few other things like that. She's done a lot of AEG stuff. So it should be really cool. The first batch will actually be 3 games, and each one is like a different genre. So the first 3 will be romance, sci-fi, and detective. And each one is a standalone game. It's 4-player. You have 3 decks of cards that are people, places, and things. You build a hand of cards however you want from those 3 decks. And then you have kind of tokens. As you tell your part of the story, you play cards down in front of you. But you can use cards that other people have already played. And when you do that, you put one of your tokens on their cards to show that you've used that card in your story. Okay. And the story evolves as you go. At the end of the game, there's a thing where whoever has played the most cards gets to tell the ending of the story, but whoever has used the most tokens, therefore used other people's cards the most, becomes the author and gets to name the story.
All right.
But the cool thing is that you can just mash them together, so you can make detective sci-fi and therefore tell Blade Runner if you want, or make a romance detective. But it also increases the player count by 4 each time you do it.
Yeah. Has the had the situation in regards to manufacturing and shipping from China, did that have a kind of a bit of a hit on? Are you a bit further back than where you would have been if?
Yeah.
the transport and manufacturing thing hadn't kind of been a bit of a pain in the arse, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it had a huge impact, and I think there's a thing where people still, well, certainly some players think that, you know, board games are really expensive and people are just taking the mickey.
Yeah.
But actually, it's a pretty low margin compared to a lot of other. I used to sell Oakley sunglasses.
Yeah.
And the margin on them is ridiculous. They would cost somewhere around $1 to $1.50 to make. And
wow.
They sell them for 70, 80 plus pounds. So actual sort of profit at the publisher end is quite small, and then when you shipping went from somewhere around 40 to 50 cents for a copy of a game to around $3 to $4 a game, and so just in a really short space of time. So it wasn't even like you could prepare for that. It was, we know we told you this last month, but now it's 4 times the price. Sorry. So it had that did have a big impact. We've done what we can to kind of take that as much as we can, because we want to still try and keep things affordable, and especially when we're talking about things like family games.
Yeah.
If you're going to a family, there's this game set in a dungeon. It's £80. No thanks.
No. I think the good illustration of that was, and you've probably seen it on the board game chat group that you're involved in, is when somebody posted about HeroQuest on Amazon, and HeroQuest was down from about £80 or £90. It usually goes for a ton, goes for a clean 100, and it was down for £40. And I don't think they've sold out so quickly. I used to go into like the game, and Game seems to be selling a lot of board games, and they literally had the same rinky-dink copy of HeroQuest that had a couple of ding and dents where it's been sitting there for months, and yet people were like snapping up these kind of HeroQuest games. So I think some people, depending on the kind of the price, but I guess on the flip side, personally, I don't think there's enough education out there of the consumer about actually how much a typical board game kind of costs, because I do think, and I think you touched on this yourself, that, you know, a game that maybe costs like 40 or 50 quid, it could be the case that produced that game, it's up there at, 25, 30 quid, but, including once you get it shipped out, manufactured and stuff like that. So the retail margins are really, really kind of really kind of short. So they say, like, it's like, I see this, obviously you'll see this on Kickstarter as well, as like games that are making, and this was the perfect example of last year, where games that had been making kind of 6 figures, when the shipping crisis hit, they all turned around, a lot of them turned around and went, guys, we're £250,000 in the red, we can't get these kind of games to you.
Yeah, no, it's been tough, and you only have to look at some of the companies that have been going under, unfortunately. Like, it's happening to retail stores all over. That's not just restricted to board games. Like it's just tough all over. But certainly in board games, lots of retailers going under, unfortunately. A load of publishers that some that you wouldn't think of, that are just like, either, like you said, they're kind of cap in hand, look, if we don't get a bit more help, we are going to be gone. Others that have just gone. There was another one with Big Kid Games or something.
And also I see that places like Asmodee and things like that seem to be shutting down places. Pearl Games just the other week, and I was like, damn, they were making some damn good games, and it just seems like, look, it's beyond this. It's, somebody's bought the company, we became part of the Asmodee portfolio, and now they're saying we're not going to be financially viable, which is a great shame, considering some of the stuff that we're kind of putting out there. Have you not decided to get your own little design out there? I mean, inspired by the likes of Mr. Hughes. If Mr. Hughes, I mean, obviously Mr. Hughes he's obviously sitting on the shoulders of of his daughter's creative endeavours, and obviously is then shored up also by kind of Gary King and everything like that. But I mean, are you not thinking, well, if that Hughes fella could do it, are you not starting to think?
Yeah, well,
here we
I've
go.
got to wait. My daughter's only 5 at the minute, so by the time she gets to 8, and I can start. No, I have a few ideas for ones, but I just don't have the patience to go through all of the. And that's why I'm so admiring of game designers, the patience it takes to go through all of the prototyping and the refining and all of that. I often, when I'm getting involved in games, it's like they've been working on it for 2 years or something, and then they bring it to me and they're like, what do you think of this? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's just the crush, and I just don't want to subject myself to that.
I know. Is that what I was if I spent all that time in it and then just somebody turned around and said it wasn't any good?
Yeah.
Or fundamentally terrible.
I have got a couple that if I kind of, and not surprisingly, they're both about beer. So one is actually about sort of running a little craft brewery and putting beer out there. It uses, have you ever played Gentes?
Yes, I've heard of it, yeah.
And it's got the cool time track thing, so it uses a similar mechanism to that. Ooh. So where the more effort an action takes, the more it takes up in the time track. So
you sound like that's all ready to go. You just need somebody to kind of gather you up in their arms and say, this is the way that we're going to be going with this, Mr. Cooke.
Pretty much. I want someone to be able to, like the great authors that used to just sit there and dictate their books. I want to be like that. I was like, this is what happens in a game, and someone there cutting out cardboard tokens for me.
Is that the kind of thing? Except it would be, and then he said, would you like to play a board game? And yes, he says, went to the shelf and he got the copy of Scythe, which he opened the lid, took out the rule book, and he started to read. Jamie's on the show soon. Yeah. He might listen and go, I'm not coming on the show. I think he's coming on in he's coming on in a week or something like that. He's going to talk about his new shiny game. And he's also, I think he's restricting the amount of time he's going to give as well. Would you?
Oh, really?
Is it Expedition? I can't remember. I think it's maybe Expedition.
We played Rolling Realms on the ferry on the way back.
Oh, was that fun?
It's neat. Yeah, it's clever.
Good stuff.
Rolling, right? Not my favourite of genres, but it was good fun.
I think
we did really like Kites that we also played. That was good fun. Very light filler, and it's all sand timers and it's real time. And again, I don't generally like real time games, but this was quite fun because it wasn't like. What's that one? Magic Maze or something? Where you're banging the thing at people. You're like, come on, just do the thing. It's not like that. It's still turn-based. So on your turn, there's 6 sand timers that are of all of different lengths, and they represent kites that you're trying to keep in the air. Mm-hmm. If one of them ever runs out, that's you done. You've lost the game. But you have cards that have a combination. Either they have one of the sand timers on, or they have a combination of 2 different ones. And as you play that, you flip those 2 sand timers. And so it's like trying to figure out between you, like, right, we've got to keep all these up in the air. How do we play our cards and keep them up? So, and it lasts like 10 minutes, and I've just taught you the whole game. Like, you just be able to play it now.
That's what you want.
It's fun.
I started Jaws of the Lion at the weekend. Yeah. I wanted it to be crap.
Is it really good?
It's just, yeah. Do you know, it's like you get somebody says, but if you get the bacon, and then you get a little bit of chorizo next to it, and then you give a touch of kind of like maple syrup on top, and then you put it on the bagel, and you go like, what? No, and then you try and you go, oh, this is actually really, it's actually really a surprise. Do you know you play a game, and you get this moment, and you look up the person that you're playing with, and there's this kind of eye contact to say, oof, this is kind of better than we expected. And there was just a point where we're only playing like the first couple of missions, and where there's no dice, so it's not randomness. It's like, I'm going to hit this person for 2 all the time, but then I've got this modifier card, and it tells me if I'm going to miss. And we're just like, it's like we're about to take out the last guy. I'm like, well, if we do this, we should be okay anyway. We're not going to die. But then I'd like flip my card over, and it was like times 2 damage. And you're just like, yes, last hit in the game, smack your face, you're out of here, double hit. You just got like little thing. We're just like, well, this kind of works like kind of really, really well as he wobbles the microphone. So that's, yeah. So I'm kind of looking forward. It's one of these games. It's like I've committed to actually playing as much of it as I possibly can, because I do this. I get games and then I just kind of don't. You don't, especially when you review them. And it's nice to commit to a game and just kind of play it all the kind of the way through. But back to, it's 38 minutes in. Let's talk about the reason that we're here. How's Rodney? You've been speaking to him. This is the interesting. With him coming over, has he turned into kind of like one of these kind of friends? Are you pointing at Christmas cards? Have you passed that kind of point? Are you getting video calls and
Yeah. We use Telegram mostly to chat, and he's probably the only person that I chat to on Telegram. Everyone else is on WhatsApp, but yeah, no, or you can do these little like video. Like you do voice notes, you do little video notes, and so
oh my goodness,
send them back and forth.
Oh my goodness, it says like, is he going to be staying at the house again?
No, we're all going to go and stay in Harrogate for like the Wednesday night and go out for a meal together.
All right, and then is he just toughing him off to the hotel?
Yeah. I think it's just a bit different because there's so many of them now. Because when he first came over, it was just Rodney.
Yeah,
and there was obviously 6 of them. So I don't think we could fit 6 in our house.
So who's coming over from the Watch It Played gang?
All of them, yeah. So it'd be Rodney, Chaz, Monique, Naveen, Paula, Matthew.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. All together like a crew. But that I seem to be noticing this a lot. It's like you got the Watch It Play crew. Obviously, the Dice Tower crew have been going round, but I see that Rahdo's rocking up for a crew, and I'm starting to think we're going to end up in that situation like Anchorman, where you're all going to meet at a convention, in the car
just
park.
Get the dice out,
and it's going to be like Tom Vassell, when he's going to go, "Hi there, sports fans," and he's going, "Oh, look, it's Smith." And there's just going to be that kind of interaction. I just like to see. I just wonder. I guess it kind of then takes us on to the next question, right? In a rumble, right? And we've got Watch It Played in one corner, right? Here's the thing: are the brothers Murphs? Did they not? Are they
BGG, aren't they? They do BGG stuff. And there is a BGG crew really as well.
There's a kind of a BGG crew as well. I don't know. I think if they rocked up, I think they would be. They'd be the ones to watch. They'd be like a WWE kind of tag team.
Well, they even have a uniform. They have all the. Have you seen them at the convention? The BGG team have the big American football jerseys.
I'm just trying to think because you've got kind of like on Vassal's side, you've got Vassal, but you've got Mike Delisio. And I think Delisio, and I've met Delisio, and I think with that kind of Italian background, I think he could fight. I'm not going to say he's going to fight clean and fair, as long as the ref's looking. And I think as soon as the ref turns his back, he's going to be giving it kind of like dirty licks across the back of the head and stuff like that.
Sack of oranges out and.
I just think he's going to go. I think he's going to be putting meeples in a sock and stuff, or putting Frosthaven in a bag and just going around kind of swirling around a bit. But anyway, that doesn't answer the question. Is in the terms of a big fight, who do you think is going to win?
You see, I think Dice Tower have got the numbers because there's the main crew, but they have a lot of contributors, don't they? And a lot of, even Hughes is on one of them, isn't he?
Is he? But then I don't know, because Maddox is on there as well. Ben Maddox. We're all dropping these names like everybody would expect. I'm talking about Ben Maddox, 5 games for Doomsday. Happy birthday, 5th year of recording.
Oh yeah.
He's done it, I've got to say, big shout out to them. He's a lovely, lovely man. I don't know, he'd be on the Dice Tower crew, but would he? I don't know, I'd have to question his loyalty.
Well, you see, that's with Dice, with Watch It Played, I think you've got a solid bit like with Rahdo. That's the core.
They've got the core crew.
But like Dice Tower, you'd be like, oh, here's this guy who does once every month a podcast about the colour of meatballs.
I don't think you'd allow him in a fight. I think what he'd do is he'd stay on the outskirts and see who was winning before he jumped in. I think that's what Maddox would do. I think Ben Maddox would stay on the outskirts until he's seen who was winning. And then he goes, I'm going to jump in and mess you up. And that's what he would do,
So, do you know, Ben and I have started our own event as well.
What's that?
It's like it's an Essen event.
Really?
It's called... Yeah. Is that Essen? It's not an Essen.
I just thought it's like a kind of a Eurovision kind of one of those things where you get together in somebody's house and then just do that. Just kind of like dress up.
Far off. Yeah, so it's car park beers. And so...
I'm just going to try and tell you that's not convention, that's something else.
No, it's at Essen, and after hours
in the car park.
On one of the days, we just go and it's kind of building. Like this most recent time, we had 10 or 15 people stop by
in the car park,
sat down for a beer,
all watching.
Yeah, I mean Ben brought his own little stool this time. He had a little stool to sit on.
Did he?
Yeah.
The things he gets up to without my permission is absolutely outrageous.
Yeah. And there's a game called the Belgian Beers Race, and they always have a booth at Essen.
And
they make their own beer for Essen, like one every year. So we just stop by there and get a load of beers and go sit in the car park.
So is this an unofficial event then?
Yeah.
It's not an official event yet. Is it just something that kind of happens? It's like Airecon again, except it's in Germany, basically. Except it's beer. It's drunk men in a car park with beer.
Not just men. Anybody is welcome.
It just says extremely dodgy. Well, officer, we've just been at a board game convention.
It's in the grounds of Essen.
It says it's in a
where
car
the convention centre is.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just out the back door.
I'm just going to say it's going to be dodgy, but it's abroad. You're gonna be a Channel 5 special. I could just tell it's absolutely awkward. Right. So, I've 45 minutes. I've rocked up at Airecon. Look, you said yes to coming back on again. You knew. It's not like you've not been on before. It's not like you're going, I wonder how this structure's going to work. I wonder which way the conversation's going to ebb and flow. It's like
I did a couple of times. I nearly messaged you to say, "Is there anything in particular you want me to?" And then I thought, "There's no point.
There's no point doing that.
So we'll just see what happens."
Yeah, Frank West tried that. This is what we're covering. I was like, "No, we're not, Frank." Frank's doing well. Frank's become a tour de force. Frank would be in the car park.
Yeah.
He'd be fighting with himself. He'd bring a thing of cats.
Yeah.
Just
an aisle. He'd bring an aisle of cats with him. He'd just bring a load of boxes and he'd put them in the car park, and then people would open the boxes, and some of the cats would be asleep, and the other cats would be really furious, and you would just see people kind of them popping off, kind of like furry landmines, people kind of getting attacked. Schrodinger's cat, but with a West Revenge. No. Right, okay. If I'm coming to Airecon between the 9th, by the time we get this finished, it'll be the 9th. By the time we get this finished, it'll be the 9th to 12th of March, I'll tell you. What can I expect to see? There's going to be the bringing by. From what I know, there's going to be the bringing by. Yeah. Okay, there's going to be tons of tables for people to be able to borrow. They're going to be able to borrow games from the library. They're going to be able to sit and play with their friends. There's going to be your food truck, so you're going to be catered for. But what else can I expect when I come to Airecon between the 9th to the 12th of March? Yeah, so this year, even for people that have been before, it's going to feel a bit new and a bit different. We're still at the Harrogate Convention Centre, but we've moved into new halls, kind of at the other end of the centre. So now as you come in, there's big Roman pillars as you walk through the main door now. It's all very exciting. And the first hall you're going to walk into is the exhibit hall. And we've now got a dedicated exhibit hall, which is really cool. Before we've kind of had it set up in the middle of the main hall with open game on either side, and we've had to every evening go around and barrier it off and then do all that fun stuff. But this year, big dedicated exhibitor hall, so we're going to have about 80-something exhibitors in there. You'll still see the big Airecon light-up letters as you come in that door. They'll be there. And then Flav and Hachette UK are directly behind that. They've got a whopping great big stand. They're going to be showing off a bunch of stuff. And then Family Zone's there, and Asmodee and Coil Spring are all at that front end. And just a bunch of different exhibitors showing off various things. Should be very cool, including Mead for the first time, which is sounds interesting.
Explain Mead?
Yeah. Like the honey liquor thing. Apparently it goes well with board games.
Bringing beer in.
Yeah, that's it.
And who put you up to this?
They asked.
I suppose, yeah. They not only asked, but they gave some money, which means you can come along.
Yeah. But yeah, as you kind of go through that, you'll go out into the so that's Hall M, which is obviously people that know their alphabet. The hall that you go through to is Hall C.
Yes.
I don't know who named the halls at this convention centre, but yeah. So C, it's just a half hall, that one. So we've got the Bring and Buy in there, a bit of food, a bit of open gaming. Geek and Sun will be in there with their fancy tables. As well. And then you'll go through then into Hall B, which is a big hall again, and so we'll have Ye Olde Air Shop, which will be selling mugs and t-shirts and magazines and various different things.
You've gone right into the merchandising, because I know that there's nothing more coveted than Airecon mug, and there's nothing more disappointed and sad than somebody posted 3 days after the event saying, I've smashed it, or I didn't get the colour, kind of thing, and asking. I mean, they're talking about getting copies of Heat, but if you want to see a mad rush, if somebody went on Airecon mugs starting to sell them, you got to watch out, because they might be folks scalping them next.
Yeah, well, this year's are cool. They're all black still, but the design is the same, but they're different colour inks, so you could choose whichever colour player you are. You choose choose your own mug. But we got one of them is black on black, which you think might sound like that, but they look cool. They're like it's a matte black mug with a gloss black print on it. Looks lovely. You've UV spotted a mug, basically. Pretty much. Yeah, so that's there, and then that'll also be the tuck shop and things like that. So we've still got a tuck shop, which we're really happy about to be able to still do that. And next to that is the library, which has got even more games than ever. We must be approaching 1,000 games in the library. And next to that is we've got some giant games. The Herefordshire board gamers, like a giant version of Suro and a giant version of Hey, That's My Fish, and they'll have them there where you are the game pieces and you play it yourself. And then just across the way there is the demo zone. So we've got 20 odd demo tables. This is like games in development that you won't be able to buy there. People like Mr. Turtsy will be there, and Playtest UK showing some development games off that you get to feedback on. And all various things.
As you're reeling this off to me, is there another part of your brain that's going, crap, I need to do this. I need to remember to do this. I need to remember to do that. Did I contact them? Is Ben coming along or not?
So every now and again you'll see me like getting on a keep
I've just seen you kind of trying to write down notes as you're talking to me and remembering what's kind of going on. But it's Bez's last Airecon, I think they were saying.
Yeah, supposedly, She said she might come back for the big 5-year or 10-year anniversaries and stuff. But it's moving away to Thailand, I believe.
Yeah. But that'll be a big change because they always bring a huge, wonderful sense of energy to kind of wherever they are, and regardless if I've seen them at like Tabletop Scotland or when I saw them at Airecon, they're always there with a smile, enthusiasm and stuff like that for to say, oh, this is going to be my last one. I was kind of like, that's, you're not allowed to. You have to come back. Maybe here's an idea. We could get them involved in the big fight in the car park next year, so they have to come back.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
So we could do that.
Especially Bez was one of the first first time we ever had exhibitors at Airecon, which was Airecon 2. Mm-hmm. Bez was there, so Bez was one of 4 exhibitors that we had.
Wow.
Alongside ITV, and Medusa, which is Richard from
That's
UV
Richard, yeah.
And then there was another one where they made like a card game that was about a rock band or something. I've forgotten. I think the game might be called. No, it can't be called Rock Band, can it?
Maybe.
Video game.
That'd be the big plastic instruments. There'd be like a scene thing from Activision kind of going on. Are you able to relax? Because I'll tell you the reason I'm asking this question, right, is because when I went to Tabletop Scotland last year, and I bumped into Dave. I was going to say big giant head of Tabletop Scotland. He's not got a big giant head. He's just the head of Tabletop Scotland, or one of the heads of Tabletop Scotland. But he seemed kind of like he was in the zone. Everything seemed to be running quite smoothly. He was able to chill out. He seemed like he was enjoying himself for that time.
Yeah.
Are you able to enjoy any of the days? You say, right, okay, as long as we get the 9th out the way, the 10th out the way, and then halfway through the 11th, 12th, I can kind of chill out. Do you get that time now, or are you still kind of like running around like a bride at a wedding reception, kind of making sure the drinks are topped up?
No, there's definitely there's moments of calm, and surprisingly Saturday, which is our busiest day in terms of attendees, is probably my quietest day in terms of stuff I have to do, because everything is set up and running and hopefully going as it should. We'll see. Like I said, it's all the new halls and everything this year, so there might be a few more things that we have to run around and do. We always still try and play a game or two as a team, the director team. Usually it's after hours, or it's after last year we tried to play Sagrada after we finished Packdown. It's not the most complicated of games, but we were just sat there just going, like we were trying to tackle a Lacerda, put the dice on the matching colour. What does that even mean?
It's like I forgot what this colour's called.
What's a dice?
Is it blue? Is this what blue is? I have no idea.
So we still, and we get loads of enjoyment from just walking around and seeing people having fun. It's the thing. Because we set it up originally to try and play more games, and then
that's what I was going to say. It's like somebody that's like, "What do you do?" I work in the pizza shop, and I was really good at making pizza. But then what happened was the guys that owned the pizza chain thought I was so good at making pizzas that they made me area manager, and now all I do is spend my day in a car driving around, and I'm not really good at driving. I'd like to point that out. And I'm not really good at numbers. I'm not really good at figures. And I'm not really good at management. However, I can lay you out a 10-inch pizza like you wouldn't believe and have you thinking you died and gone to heaven. But now it's like, But are you getting to the point, or could you get to the point where you would kind of like step back even further? Like you would bring people on. I mean, I'm guessing that you're still running with kind of like the original crew.
Yeah, pretty much. We do sort of slowly bring people in as things. We're still very much involved in pretty much all aspects of it, and I still do all the do all the graphic design and all the hall layouts and booking all the exhibitors and planning the events and stuff like that. But sort of gradually we'll bring someone on, or they'll come on board as like a volunteer, and then we'll be like, oh, they're pretty good at that thing.
Yeah.
And then sort of slowly give them a bit more responsibility. So we have Anne joined us very early, and she sorts all the volunteers.
Yeah.
My mum comes in and she runs one of the halls and the tuck shop and all that kind of stuff, and just goes and does all the buying for that, so you don't have to worry about things like that. Ben has to pay bills. So slowly as we get there, I think obviously pandemic and COVID and stuff probably sets back a couple of years. But it's getting there. We're able to sort of give a bit more of our time to it, which is good. I think and I was sort of chatting to someone about it recently. I think it's why you don't see many conventions of this kind of mid-size, is because it's big enough that it's a lot of work, but it's not big enough that you get paid enough to do it full time.
Yeah.
So that's why, although Airecon is probably certainly second, third biggest in the UK, there's a massive gulf then between Airecon and Expo, which are 20-odd thousand. So, and I think that's probably what it is. It's that just, if I can push through this bit, or,
UK, having been to the NEC a couple of times for trade shows years and years ago, Airecon was fine for me.
Yeah.
Loved it. As I say, Tabletop Scotland, again, only a couple of halls, fine for me. UK Games Expo kind of fills me with a little bit of anticipation and dread. I think I would go, see if a publisher kind of said, tell you what, do you want to come down and you can muck around and you can do some live shows and podcasts and stuff like that, and we can work together, then I'd probably be up for going down. Because then I knew I would be, it sounds strange, I knew I would be kind of media working. Whereas the thought of just going about and kind of like, with it being so big, I'd be worried I'd kind of miss. I'd miss something. And it might be a bit too big, for me. Yeah.
I don't know, I still really love Games Expo, and, it's the one that we went to that inspired us to start Airecon. We didn't have any great ambitions of becoming Expo at the time, but I still have a really good time there. And I think, I went over to Gen Con last year for the first time. And
what was that like?
Magnitude's bigger again. Is
it too big?
No, I think it's sort of very different to what I was expecting. I think I was thinking something more like Essen.
Yeah. And
it's not like Essen at all, although they're sort of similar sizes. It does just feel like a bigger Games Expo.
Right.
And, it's still quite laid back, and it's very busy. Like, there's loads of people all over, and the whole town of Indianapolis is just taken over with games everywhere you go. But yeah, I think for the most part, it's, something about Essen that does feel more kind of corporate-y. I don't know if that's the right word, but you kind of walk in and there's these massive stands and big displays and things like that. You don't necessarily have that at Gen Con.
Is that not because of its history? Is it not
for sure.
Because of got the trade show kind of roots. Whereas I think Gen Con, like yourselves, is like, they all kind of started from a place of love and passion for board games, and I think Essen kind of started from a place of, how do we sell these? And would you like to buy some, kind of thing. So I think there could be kind of a difference from there. With the break that obviously happened, the kind of the slowdown and the impediment and everything like that, with kind of COVID, cost of living and stuff like that, have ticket sales kind of stayed steady? Are you noticing an increase of things kind of going?
Yeah,
well?
So it did go up. So we ended up last year, our sales were what we had originally forecasted for just the pre-COVID one, but obviously our on-the-door sales got hit really bad on the pre-COVID one.
Yeah.
So that last year kind of put us back to that point, but we still saw growth. But then this time, we were a little bit kind of, biting our fingernails and a bit worried.
That's expected, isn't it?
With all the cost of living and all of that kind of stuff. It was like, At the same time, we had things on our end of things that just meant we had to put our prices up. Things like we went VAT registered, and we moved halls, and then the convention centre themselves put all their costs up. Yeah. And so it was a bunch of stuff that happened at the same time. But it's going to be busier. We've had every month, I think, apart from November, has been our best-selling month ever. That's amazing. Which is incredible. So, yeah. So in the end, we're glad we got the extra space. So otherwise, we don't know where we would have put people. Yeah.
You just have to get them fighting outside in the car park and get them deciding which group they want to join. This is going to happen. I mean, if you're doing the bend thing, I want my Sharks and Jets, and eventually given parts to sing, so they can sing along as they're battling. Because I think Rodney will have probably a reasonable singing voice. I think Chaz will be terrible. I think there'll be an awful lot of enthusiasm. I think Naveen, though.
Yeah.
I think they'll be the one to watch. There's a bass baritone if I ever saw one. I'm telling you. There's gonna be a strong tune. But apart from that nonsense, if people want to buy tickets, if people want to find out more, if people want to check out why the banner is a pile of sweets and go, oh, actually, it's a pile of sweets. It's one of those kind of, what do they call it? It's kind of like those things where you expect something is expected to be like it looks like something, but it's not looking like something. There's a special phrase for it. I don't know. It's a Mandela effect, I think it's called.
Oh, okay.
And I reckon there's a lot of people that have looked at that Airecon thing and think it's automatically made out of meeples, and they're going to go back on and go, oh my goodness, it is made of sweets. But if they want to see that, where do they go to find that on the internet webs? Where do you exist on the internet webs?
Nice and easy. It's airecon.co.uk. But that's air like the river. So AIRECON.
Air like the river.
Yeah.
It is, I know it's the river, but people aren't going to know the river's spelled like that, are they?
But it's the big river through Leeds. Why wouldn't people know that?
See, everything's like with an E at the moment. So it's air with an E, it's Cook with an E, Mark with an E.
That's why I call my consultancy is with an E.
It is. I thought that was brilliant. I literally chuckled. I wholeheartedly chuckled for like a couple of minutes when I saw it, because I went, that's brilliant and funny. I actually told my wife and she went, shut up, I'm trying to watch the telly, which is a pretty good interaction as far as that goes. Go on the site, check out the events. There's lovely little events. There's people going to be there. There's going to be lots of board games. You've got your bring and buy. You've got your food trucks. You're going to have the chance to. There's going to be impromptu stuff with the Watch It Played crowd. If you want to see how tall Rodney is, he's not. You can. If you want to see how short Mark is, he's not. It's like huge. It's literally like a mountain.
I had people just trying to lean on me last year and put up posters and stuff if I stood still to them.
Kind of like put a shelf next to that while you'd hold it steady, kind of thing, you know. Then go and check out the links, because we'll put the links in the show notes, so we've got notes to show. If you want to find out what we're up to, you just go to the various websites that we have, search for We're Not Wizards, and you'll find us in all the usual kind of places. Worn Out Faces, bright and early for the daily races, like all our written reviews that we have on we're not wizards.blogspot.com, and you can check out the podcast on we're not wizards.com. We've got Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all those things. And if you like what you've listened to tonight, do us a favour and go into Apple Podcasts and give us a rating, and write us a review. The last review we had was Gabby from the Board Game Snobs. He wrote something absolutely wonderful and poetic, and I literally kind of went, oh, it's nice to be nice. So that was nice. But if you want to do that and be top of the list then you could go onto Apple Podcasts and write a review as well. That would be lovely. And if you're going to give us a rating, it's the same old joke. It's been 7 years, Mark. We've been doing this for 7 years. 7 years, 2016. 2016 we started this nonsense. So if you're going to be giving us a rating, don't give us 10 stars because it makes us big-headed, but don't give us 1 star because it makes us cry. Give us 5. 5. It takes 2 minutes on your Apple Podcast catcher of choice, or go into the Apple Podcast. Because it's average, and we're just a little bit average. But the person who's not been average tonight, or avarag, or ivrag, the man who's been avarag with an E, it's the wonderful Mark Cooke. Thanks for coming on, Mark. I appreciate your time. And there's only one more thing. Well, there's 2 more things to do. The first thing is to remember we're many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Mark?
No, we're not.
Point shaking your head.
It's for the live stream.
For what? For the lives. It's not I'm not your special Facebook group with Mr. Luke Prior now. You know. I was speaking to Luke the other day. He's going to be coming back on soon. Hopefully, he's a lovely. If you're listening, Luke, you're fantastic. And the second thing is to say goodbye. So it's a goodbye. He's got no airs and graces. But he's got one of those cheeks and faces. Say goodbye, Mark.
Bye with an E.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll 6s, make something awful. Get yourself down to Harrogate. And buy some tickets to Airecon with an E. Goodbye.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.